Hi, my gardening friends. You're watching Gardening on Taylor Mountain, and my name is Bobby. I'm glad you joined me. I'm standing here next to this gorgeous perennial hibiscus. This is one of the Summerific Series by proven winners. The name of this particular variety is called Perfect Storm. And in a video, the 1st of May 2021, which I will put in the description below, we actually transplanted this. It had been in the ground, I think, for 2 years at that point. And so we transplanted it because I had it in the total wrong spot. So we're going to watch a clip of that now. I failed to give an update last year. Actually, the video of me transplanting this is one of my most popular, or my most popular video. I guess a lot of people were interested in moving or transplanting a hardy hibiscus. She's just beautiful, and she did not skip a beat. Last year, after I moved her, I kept it watered really well, and it just continued to grow. It put on the same blooms that you're seeing now. I have a lot of buds coming on here. And you can see the size of the blooms. I mean, they're just absolutely gorgeous blooms. I love the red center and the white, kind of the white pinkish outer leaves. I love the leaf color on this as well too. It's a bit dark. I have another one that I'm going to show you in just a minute that we're going to plant. The specs on these hardy hibiscus, they are a perennial. They're not a shrub. It looks like a shrub, doesn't it? But they are a perennial. They're hardy in zones 5 through 9. And really, all hardy hibiscus are also what's known as rose mallow or swamp mallow. That's not a very nice name, but it means that they can take a little bit more wet areas, a little bit more, maybe even boggy areas. They do like well-draining soil, but they can take some more wet soil. So if you have an area that you have that just stays a little bit more wet, this would be very happy. They do like full sun, although the tag says part sun to full sun. So that part sun means 4 to 6 hours a day. Full sun means 6 hours plus a day. So you can, if you have a little borderline of a part sun area, you could get by. You may not get quite as many blooms, but you could get by with that. Really, the only pests that I have found in my area in zone 6B would be the Japanese beetles, which so far this year they have not found the hardy hibiscus. I'm so thankful, and they're just about done for the season for this year, the Japanese beetles. The other one would be a little green worm, which is probably a sawfly worm. If you start seeing holes in your leaves, you can check the underneath, and I'll give you a close-up here. I'll insert it in. But you could check the underneath for eggs of the sawfly larva, and if so, just scrape them off. I do have a few. I can see a few have been eaten just a little bit, but not bad. This perennial does really not require any deadheading, although if you want to keep your perennial a little bit more tidy looking, of course you can just pull off the spent blooms and pitch them wherever you throw your spent blooms. The blooms only last for a day, but they're just so full of buds that they just keep turning over. This one really hasn't done its full potential yet. It's just started blooming. It's one of your very last perennials in the spring that will start showing its green emerging. I do prune mine back in the fall. Now they highly recommend that you wait and you prune it back, all of the dead canes, that you remove them in the springtime. I've had this one, I'm thinking close, maybe 5 years now. This is probably the 5th year. So here in my zone 6B, I usually always prune it back in the fall, and I leave the canes about 6 inches tall. But like I say, Proven Winners highly recommends that you prune your canes back in the spring. As with most all of my perennials, I did fertilize this with plant tone as soon as I saw the green emerging, the shoots coming up out of the ground, and it's going to grow, even though there's little canes left, it's going to grow up out of the ground because it is a perennial. So I did sprinkle some plant tone around and mixed it in a little bit, watered it in good. Personally, I think if you have it planted in a very good soil compost base, you may not even need to use any fertilizer at all, but because you can fertilize it with the plant tone, it's not one of those perennials that doesn't like fertilizer, then I do go ahead and fertilize it. But you can see how hardy this perennial is. I have had the Perennial Hibiscus that are not Proven Winners brands. There are many out there. I've had the old-timey Perennial Hibiscus, and they tend to flop. You know, they get big, and then if you don't give them some sort of support, they tend to flop over. The Summerific Series does not flop. This has, you can see how large it is. The specs say the height is 36 inches on this particular one. I'm saying, is that a little taller maybe than 36 inches? I should have brought a tape measure out. But this, I think you should plan, that's why I had to transplant it. I think you should plan for just a little bit bigger and a little bit taller maybe than the tags say, because these just want to grow. They're such hardy perennials that really, it didn't skip a beat when I moved it. And it just started, it picked right up. The root system on it was pretty good size. So it was pretty, not super easy to get out of the ground, as you saw in the video clip. But anyway, it's just doing marvelous, and I couldn't be happier with it. I'm excited to show you the next one we'll be planting. And I'm seeing bees. You get your pollinators. I just saw a butterfly on here. I'm also going to add this one to my garden. This is called Holy Grail, and it's by Proven Winners. It's a Summerific. It's one of the Summerific series. It gets a beautiful red bloom on it, and you can see the foliage is even maybe a little darker here than the Perfect Storm. I think once it gets in the ground and starts aging a little bit, the foliage is going to get quite a bit darker. This one gets a little bit larger than the Perfect Storm, so I'm going to plant it up the fence line just a little bit. So it's going to be pretty striking coming up the driveway, seeing this Perfect Storm and this Holy Grail, the colors together. I'm really excited. So I'm looking forward to planting this one and just having 2 now added to my garden. I hope it was helpful to you to see an update on something that we actually transplanted, to see how it did. That way you can gauge and know how it might do for you if you need to move one, if you need to transplant one. Again, the date was around the 1st of May, 2021. I'm in zone 6B. So it just had started about 6 inches tall worth of the foliage coming on. And that was really a perfect time to move it. Again, I did give it plenty of water after I moved it. You'll see in the video, I put a little bit of biotone starter fertilizer in the planting hole. Then I put some good compost in. It was some, I think it was a lobster mixture, crab lobster mixture compost around the top, just to feed it a little bit extra, just so that it wouldn't be stressed. But because the weather had not turned very warm at that point, not very hot, then it didn't stress at all. So that's when I would recommend moving something like this just after the growth had started to appear and before it gets too hot in your area. And then I think you should be totally fine. Give it plenty of water. I think it'll do well for you. Well, I really appreciate you being here with me. And until next time, friends, happy gardening. Bye-bye.